All right. Just wanted, obviously, we got to find a way to finish that game off. The second half showed the potential that this team has when we execute the right way. The first half showed what any football team is going to be when we don't execute the right way. So we've got to focus on fixing those things that affected that first half: ball security, pre-snap and post-snap penalties, and things of that nature. But the second half showed what we can do. So, questions?
How is Nick's confidence?
Nick's a guy who's been through a lot in his career. He's missed kicks before, and he's bounced back and done very well. So his confidence level is the same. That's one of the reasons I have a lot of respect for that kid, because he's earned the right to have confidence after a missed kick, and he'll be ready to go in this one.
What did you learn about your team in that second half? The way they came back?
Yeah, I learned that when we execute, we can be a good football team, and I think that that's the most important thing that I learned. I also learned that they have the ability and showed it to go to a 1-0 mentality, good and bad. You know, they were able to move on from the good plays. They were able to move on from the bad plays, and I think that's a really, really critical piece. And so I was happy about that.
Poise seemed to be the one thing that stood out to me when I saw in that second half. They literally, I guess, listened to whatever you said to them in the second half, and they said, okay, let's do this.
Yeah, so at halftime, like I said, after the game, talked to them about believing in themselves and believing in they've earned the right to have that belief in themselves, and I need them to believe in themselves as much as I believe in them. So, you know, that confidence is something that's earned over daily battles and practice and things like that, and I thought that they showed a lot more belief in the overall process and also their own abilities in that second half.
One second. Sorry about that, guys. We got two people coming in here.
Ricky,
I was gonna take a loan.
If you need $5,
Yeah.
Ricky, you said that Saturday night that you told them, you know, to believe in themselves as much as you believe in them, and then Max said that you calmed them down. But is that really all that happened? I mean, it was such a difference in the team. Was there anything else that happened there?
Nope. Everyone asks about all these, you know, different schematic changes we made and things like that. And we didn't execute well enough in the first half for them to have any idea what our plan was. So we didn't need to make any schematic changes, because if I'm their coaches, I would have had a hard time deciphering what exactly we were trying to get done. So we were able to stick with the plan, and the thing I told our coaches was, don't worry about what happened in the first half. Get everyone to understand what's going to happen next, and that was the key. You know, sometimes you go through life and you've been through these things before, and I don't like to talk about my playing days too much, mainly because I'm the opposite. Most people, I think, as they get farther away from their playing days, they think they were better, right? They look back on it with fond memories. As I get farther away from mine, I think I stunk. We were losing to Harvard 28-0 at halftime, and came back and won 29-28. And so I think maybe because I've been through it before, you know, and there was another one we should have finished. Brown, we were down 42-7 at halftime, and we lost a close one there too. So I think that because I've been through it before, I think I was able to understand what it takes to get through those sort of things. And it's why I said that I was upset about the end of the game, because I should have anticipated that was going to happen, because I've seen it happen before.
But there was no taunting on that play. It was just kids celebrating. Do you think they should have thrown the flag?
I think it's the rule. I think you can't do it. I think it's the rule. So I think they should throw it. My question is, I don't remember 23 guys being on the field goal block team on the next play. And if they were, I hope a penalty would have been thrown then, but there certainly were more than 11 guys out on the field right after it was missed. And there was guys in yellow, I know that the yellow hat drew attention to it and those sort of things, but there was guys in yellow jerseys all the way out to the numbers right after it. So I just don't see the difference. And I'm all for, I want things officiated because that was the rule, and I agree with that rule. It's just that there's some things, it's an emotional game, and we let our emotions get the best of us in that situation.
Have you had a chance to watch back that play that was almost a safety but wasn't called a safety?
Yeah, it wasn't a safety. I didn't think it was a safety on the field. Where I was questioning is the kid fumbled it and then recovered it, bounced right back up into his chest. Now, his momentum stopped, and I agree with that. He got it over. And if you've coached football for any length of time, they are very hesitant to call safety. They are very hesitant to call safety. They know how big a play, and I agree with that. And I agree with that call. I thought that was well officiated all the way around on that play.
What did you see in your guys' sort of body language, I guess? What did you see in their attitude when they came in today, when they basically started a new week? Did they look back at that one and realize what they can do? Was there still any kind of hangover from how close they were? What were they like when they started the new week?
Well, we come in yesterday, on Sunday, and I thought we had our best Sunday practice of the year. I didn't think there was a hangover. I thought there was a focus. It wasn't jovial by any stretch of the imagination, but it wasn't somber either. It was a laser focus on the job at hand. The practice itself was very good. The effort was excellent. The buy-in to the drills we were doing, which we did a drill that we've only done one other time before. We did it again, and I thought they executed that drill very, very well. So I was happy with that. I was very pleased yesterday with our mentality at practice and that sort of thing. And I've seen some guys around the facility today, and I think that they've, like I said, it's a renewed focus. I wouldn't say that anything other than that.
And how do you approach, now the Conference USA season? I mean, do you guys look at it as, hey, it's a reset, we're 0-0, we still get a chance to chase a conference title? Do you look at it as, let's just, pick up where we left off in that second half? How do you look at that?
Well, we haven't talked about any goals in terms of, I think it's hard to talk about season-long goals and then also be a team that talks about going 1-0, right? That kind of just goes against each other. But I would be naive to think that our team's season goal in the back of their head, and they probably speak with it with each other, is to win a conference championship, because I think every team in the country has that goal. I mean, is there any team in the country that goes, all right, if we can just get 5th place in the conference? No one says that, and it's absurd. And if they do, I don't want to coach them, So, but I think our mentality of going 1-0 is an automatic reset, So that's what I think does help. We talk about going 1-0. We need to go 1-0 this week, and it happens to be a conference game. It happens to be in a different time zone, happens to be in a different state, all those sort of things, but it's about going 1-0. I mean, our players never leave everyone's always talking, our players never leave the tarmac to the hotel to the stadium. So, whether we're playing in El Paso, whether we're playing in New York City, whether we're playing in Huntington, it doesn't matter. I mean, our guys, they just want comfy beds and good, apple crisp for dinner. I mean, that's, what are we talking about right now? So I think that's one of the things that it sometimes gets a little bit blown out of proportion by other people. It's just a different deal.
That was an exhausting second half, and the last touchdown drive, you guys are going, you're moving, etc. The question we were thinking about, was there any time you were thinking about, if you score the touchdown, whether you're going to go for one and tie it, or maybe just, hey, let's just end it right here, we're hot as we can be, let's go for 2?
Yeah, no, we were going to kick it and go into overtime, because I thought that the way we were playing, it was going to be difficult for them to score a touchdown on us, and I thought that we were going to be able to continue to move the football on them. So to have it come down to one play where I didn't feel comfortable with that, so we were going to kick it. It's something that can change by philosophy. You know, I've always been raised in the this business with the whole, if you're on the road, you go for two. If you're at home, you kick it. I don't know if I always believe in that, but that's how I've been raised. But that really wasn't the factor either. It was more of that overall I thought we were playing better football than them, so I would like to go ahead and continue to play as opposed to making it a one play where maybe something fluke happens and we don't like the outcome there.
What do you know about Texas El Paso at this point? You know, from the little time you got a chance to see.
Yeah, no, I've watched, quite a bit of tape. I know that Dana Dimmel, their head coach, is a great man and a great football coach because I coached with him at Kansas State. I know that at his core he wants to run the football, create leverage. He's great at just creating leverage points and things like that to be able to run the ball and then take shots down the field. They have a strong-armed quarterback, and they have a very, very, very good wide receiver. And number 6, very talented guy. And then number 2 is also a good player and one of their team leaders, another wideout. So it's going to be a big challenge for us on that side of the ball. And then on the other side of the ball, they've been playing good defense, getting people to third down, and then their third down plan has been very aggressive, and it's been working for them. So we have to find a way to be effective on third down, and we have to, stay out of as many third and long situations as we possibly can so that we can do what we're best at and keep our advantage on that end.
Ricky, I'm sure you'd like the record to be better, non-conference, but given how little everybody knew about this team, how does it stack up to your expectations at this point?
Yeah, I didn't have any record, or you guys are probably sick of me saying stupid answers like this, but I didn't have any record expectations. I have expectations of how I wanted to see us playing football, the type of team I wanted to see in terms of a physical and relentless attitude, running to the football on defense, tackling well on offense, executing the plays at a consistent level and things like that. I think my expectations were closest to being met there in the second half of that game, even more so than the Hampton game. So I think that that's the standard. That's what I expect to see. One thing I thought that probably was overlooked in that game is how well we tackled in this past game. We tackled extremely well, which is good because we spent quite a bit of time working on it last week. And I thought that translated into, you always love to watch drills actually happen on the field, right? You hate to see when you work on something so much and then it not transfer to the game. So to see that transfer to the game, I was extremely pleased with that.
That's exactly how I meant that question.
Oh, all right, good.
I've dealt with a lot of coaches who would have blown them up at halftime the other night. What do you think led to your kind of calming approach?
I think DJ probably left out a few things there. I wouldn't exactly say I was tranquil. I did mention that I wanted guys to compete, and if they didn't want to compete, they could stay in the locker room because I'm going to compete and I'm going to do that, and I don't want to be associated with people who aren't. I didn't want to be associated with people who are going to be hanging their head because maybe they weren't making the impact that they wanted to. I didn't want to, anything like that. So that's where there was probably a little bit more fire in my belly in terms of those sort of things. But there was the other part, I wanted them to understand that we needed to be able to control our emotions and move on to the next thing. And everyone always talks about control your emotions when you're fired up. Well, you need to be able to control your emotions when you're downtrodden as well, and so you got to be able to control that. So I wanted to make sure that everyone understood that. And so, yeah, there was probably, DJ's a vet. He knows there's some things he needs to leave out, so he probably made that seem I was a little bit more placid than I probably was.
Do you feel better about this team with a 1-point loss as opposed to what it could have been going into a game like UTEP? does that really matter?
I feel better because we executed, and I know we can. I feel better because I believed in this team. I believed in the players on this team, and I believe they could do exactly what they did in that second half. And I believe that the entire season. I believe that going into our first game. I believed it going into our second or third, and I'm going to believe it going into however many games they allow us to play this year. So, you know, I was happy that our better week of practice translated into a better effort on the field. But just like I told the kids yesterday, it wasn't a perfect week of practice, and it certainly wasn't a perfect game. So something we had a great start. We gave ourselves a chance to have a better week of practice this week because we had a better Sunday than we had the week before. So that's what I want to continue to see this week.
Do you think the second half bolsters your team's confidence in themselves, their belief in themselves?
I think that second half bolstered their belief in the process, bolstered their belief in what I'm asking them to do, what the other coaches are asking them to do, and what they're asking each other to do. And I think that's what the second half did. I think we have a lot of individual kids who maybe have belief in their own abilities, but maybe they question, oh, is this guy next to me going to do his job? And I think in the second half, they started to see that this guy next to me can and will do his job, which allows me to do mine, which allows the guy next to me to do his. And I think that was the thing that the second half showed.
Anything else for Coach? Ricky, sometimes coaches will call the director of referees if they have any issues with calls. You questioned that one tackle. Did you have a conversation with Mike?
I didn't question the tackle.
Okay.
I questioned some game management thing after that tackle. There's a rule where, as a coach, you're not allowed to be off the sideline to argue a call, which firmly agree. You know, the referees deserve respect. They have not a hard job. They have an almost impossible job. So I agree with that rule. When there's a timeout, you're allowed to be out on the field with your team. I didn't think I was being given that opportunity on that play. So that's why that's what I was questioning on that. Yeah, I think it was, to put it bluntly, I think I think it was a misinterpretation of it, and I don't think it was done for any ill will or done with any negligence in mind. I think that it was just one referee trying to do his job to the best of his ability, and in that instance, we probably could have gone about it a different way, and so that's what I was questioning on that.
Ricky, one more question about the extra point the other night.
Yeah, please.
I saw it once in real time. Did you get an explanation as to what went wrong?
As opposed to, like, why it went wide right? Or?
Yeah, I mean, was it a high snap, a bad spot?
No, you know, I mean, those
Just
sort of things just kind of happen.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he hit it pretty well, and it just kind of drifted a little bit, and I'll tell you what, it didn't miss by much. You know, didn't miss by much. So, you know, he hit it pretty well, and he's going to make probably the next, you know, however many we give him an opportunity to make. That kid has a rare ability to wipe things clean, and also self-correct. So, yeah, I mean, those sort of things, they happen, right? Just like kickers in particular, but, you know, it's why Justin Tucker, who hit the kick yesterday, is such an amazing, you know, he's now 16 for 16 with go-ahead field goals within the last minute over his career, which is just, I mean, mind-boggling. I mean, because Tom Brady's considered one of the greatest players of all time, and he's missed a few throws within on 2-minute drills, right? But so whatever reason, kickers aren't allowed to ever miss, and quarterbacks miss all the time. You know, wide receiver Jerry Rice has dropped a pass within a 2-minute drill before. I'm quite sure. You know, and I know I probably just dated myself with the Jerry Rice reference, but you know, but I think that kickers, for whatever reason, to fans, they're never allowed. Well, that's his one job. Well, whatever. I mean, you're an accountant. You've never on tax day. None of your people have ever had. You've never made a mistake. You know what I mean? So that's ridiculous. That's your one job, to make sure everything's done that way. And so if you've never made a mistake, then I'd like to see that person stand up too. You know, that's ridiculous. So, yeah, I mean, Nick, give me Nick Rice on that exact kick for the next 999 times we get that chance, and I'll take him over anybody else. Maybe Justin Tucker, but and even I think Nick would even give me that one. But,
I don't
but
think Justin has any eligibility.
yeah, I don't think he does either. So I'll take Nick over everybody else.
What did you tell him in that moment? I mean, you talked about his confidence.
I told him, hey man, we're gonna get this onside kick, and we're gonna need you to kick the game-winning field goal, like I told you in the third quarter. I told him in the third quarter we're gonna need him to kick a game-winning field goal. So, yeah, I think that's what I told him. Said we're gonna get this onside kick right here. We're gonna go throw the ball. We got one timeout left. We're gonna throw it. We're gonna complete it, and you're gonna kick a game-winning field goal. And no one's gonna remember the other one. So that's what I told him.
Anything else? All right, thank you guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.
Brian, you want to start us off?
Sure. What do you learn about yourselves? I mean, you've been through it all. I know you're going through the woulda, coulda, shoulda, but you're inspired to go because of what you did in the second half. How do you move forward from something like this?
I mean, it's definitely something that's hard to do, but I think you just have to look at stuff you did well and look at stuff you did poorly and evaluate yourself accordingly and know that, you know, some stuff went well, some stuff didn't, and obviously at the end of the day, the game didn't turn how we wanted, but you got to learn from it, you know. The only way that this game can really affect us is if it beats us twice. So just looking at your mistakes, because everyone has them, learning from those, and then also looking at what you did well, because everyone, you know, I think everyone on the team did something good on Saturday, and learning from that as well. You can't, you know, always be just negative. It's got to be look at something you did good, not calling it like, you know, moral victories or anything like that, but just learning from what you did and moving on with that and getting ready for the next game.
Well, I was going to say, how proud are you of yourself for the fact that you rallied the way you did and almost pulled it off on top?
I mean, I think everybody is very proud of the fact that I think it was one of the first times this season we really embraced, you know, the process, I guess, like going 1-0. It was a big message that Coach stressed at halftime was go 1-0 every play. I mean, we were down a ton of points. I mean, that's a tough thing to do. And he told us, like, the only way we can, you know, even have a chance right now is if we just go 1-0 every play. And that's something he's been stressing, is go 1-0 every day, go 1-0 every rep you do. And I think that was really the first time that we actually embraced it. And so getting to see the results that of what happens when we actually do that, I think it's awesome to see, because it's kind of what we've been preaching for a long time. And it's the first time we've had some, you know, good evidence of what actually happens when we do that.
How do you carry over something like that? Great second half over UTEP.
I think the best way to carry it over, it really just ties into what I just said, is just continue to go 1-0. I think, you know, we see what happens when we do that, and we take one play at a time and play as hard as we can every single play, make sure we execute every play. And I think the only way to do that is to continue doing that. And I think that started yesterday when we had our practice on Sunday. It continues today with our, you know, coming in, recovering, watching film, getting extra weight room work in, whatever it may be, but continuing to do that, you know, the whole week. We just can't have any mishaps. We know what happens when we mess that process up now. So now it's just about continuing what we have, I guess, that lesson that we've learned from that game.
Isaac, Coach said that at halftime he told you guys, I need you to believe in yourselves as much as I believe in you, and that this team has been kicked around for a few years, and obviously when you guys go through tough times, you know, the 1-win season in 19, the 3-win season in 18, you know, it kind of has a eroding effect. So to hear a coach, excuse me, to hear a coach say that, and to, you know, to hear somebody, you know, especially a new coach, you know, who's still trying to grow with you guys, to hear him say that, even given you guys are down 35-7, what did that mean to you, and how do you think that can sort of push you guys even further than, you know, maybe even what you think you're capable of?
I think that just hearing that, it helps a lot, you know, like knowing that they do. And it's, I guess it's not really the first time he's ever said something like that, but I guess it was maybe a part of the moment where it felt maybe a little bit more impactful. But like you said, you know, like culture is everything. That's kind of what I feel like you're alluding to. And winning and losing both kind of tie into that. When you start to take a few losses in a row, it'll definitely, you know, dink your confidence a bit. And even though we didn't come out of this with a win, I think the fact that we showed that we can go and attack this process and that it actually does work, it's huge. It's huge in helping us, you know, get to where we need to be. And I think that's part of why I guess we started believing ourselves and each other, is because, you know, we went out there and we did it once and it worked, and we were like, oh, like, we can do this. And then we did it again, and it's like, oh, okay, we can stack these in a row. And then all of a sudden, it starts to build and build and build. And so hopefully we can just take that and carry on and continue to, you know, build off what we, you know, began to, you know, cement.
Isaac, you've been to UTEP?
I have not.
Okay. I was going to ask if we're going to help players with tips on how to rest, but this begins a new season for you guys, an 8-game conference season. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, like the 8-game conference, like you said, season, and the great thing about it is that we start 0-0. You know, it's a completely clean slate. Everything is still on the table. Like, you know, like everybody in the conference. There's a few teams who have played conference games, but once you start conference season, it's like, you know, a fresh start. You know, all the stuff that happened out of conference, like, not that it does matter, but like we play these conference games and they matter a ton. So it's nice to know that, you know, we get to kind of get a nice refresh on the season, I guess.
When you get to this point, you've had 4 games. I'm not asking about record, but how would you evaluate the team after these 4 games? Better or worse than you expected?
I think that we've improved a ton since the season started. You know, obviously we hadn't played in a long time. There's a ton of new people on this team, and it's hard to kind of evaluate yourself while you're just playing against your teammates every day. And so, you know, I think as we get to this point, the best thing I think to see is just the fact that everybody has improved a ton since the first week. I mean, you watch week 1, like the week 1 first quarter, that's the first that we had played in, you know, 2 years, to what we have most recently played, which was week 4, fourth quarter. I think you can see a drastic improvement on, you know, everybody on the team, which is something that, I mean, that's what you want to do. You play this game and you get better and better each time you play it. So I think that just constant improvement is really, really great to see.
Do you think Saturday's game, not right now, but down the road, you may look back on that and go, this was probably the turning point in our season, and maybe turn things around for us?
Yeah, I mean, that's something I guess that we'll only be able to tell with time, you know. But, you know, who's to say? Like, no one knows what's going to happen. But I think we set ourselves up to continue to build off of a pretty strong second half performance.
I want to take a side note and ask about Kevin Rahne. A couple games ago, I caught a pretty colorful moment where he said, and I'm not going to use the language he used, but he said, "I want the school rushing record." What kind of a coach is he, and is he always that fired up?
He's a really good coach. I think all the guys in the room love him. He's definitely a fiery coach, though. He's pretty good at inspiring the group, I think. But you know, he can get into the moment a little bit. I remember he kept on telling us before our games. He said, "I'm not going to be over the top in the games. I'm not going to be over the top in the games." And I kept on looking at him, and I was like, "Really, man? Like I don't think there's any way that's going to happen." And he does, to give him credit, he does keep his cool when stuff isn't, you know, necessarily, like, his stuff's going to go wrong in the games, and he does keep his cool fairly well. But he definitely, I remember seeing that clip online. He definitely was a little bit I remember being a part of it, you know, and he was definitely fired up. But that's the stuff I think that everyone loves about him, is that you can tell that he loves it and he's fired up and he enjoys it. And I think that kind of energy it translates to everyone else on the line. I think that all of our linemen, I think they play with that same type of intensity.
Looks like he still kind of has decent blocking technique when he went up on you that one time. He tried to shove you around a little bit.
Yeah, he tried to shove me around a little bit. I might have given him a pop back or two. You know, you got to stand your ground.
There's a lot of differences between Coach Wilder's staff and his staff, obviously, but one of the differences I've seen, instead of a lot of single guys as assistant coaches, you have a lot of married guys, and then the kids come around the program. Tell me what that's like to see the coaches with their kids after practice, the kids running around the office and all that.
It's really cool. I mean, all the kids, they're awesome. We'll see them at practice, and a lot of them are really young and they're really shy, you know. So especially like some of us bigger guys, they'll look at us and like, oh man, that guy's really big. Like I don't really want to know if I say hi to that guy. But it's awesome to see. Like it's cool to see that that real family environment that they've brought around the facility. I think it kind of rubs off on everybody throughout the program.
Roger, you were talking about somebody keeping their cool. How would you characterize Coach Rahne's halftime speech?
I think it was what we needed in the moment. I think he told us exactly what we needed to hear. He always tells us he's never going to lie to us. He'll tell us the truth. And at that point in the game, we hadn't been playing very well. And he basically told us that and told us how we needed to go about fixing that. And I think everyone kind of took that to heart and really appreciated that honesty and the way he delivered it.
Was he as fired up as he said he was?
Yeah, he was fired up. I think everybody was fired up. I mean, you go into halftime like that, no one's ever really happy. You know what I mean? So, I think that the fire that he brought, I think it was mutual. I think everybody was kind of on that same wavelength.
Anything else for Isaac?
You guys had never played Buffalo, and yet at times the game seemed to get a little chippy, especially when you got picked up one of your players and threw him to the kicker's net. I mean, why was that? I mean, you know.
I think anytime you get two teams that are pretty physical, like I think both of our teams are, stuff tends to get chippy. I mean, you're hitting the same person. I think on offense we ran about 90 snaps. You hit someone 90 times in a row, you're bound to not like them very much. So I think that's just kind of the nature of football. And honestly, I think it's usually more fun that way. I mean, I'm not trying to condone fighting or anything like that, but you go out there and you kind of look for the I don't know. It's always fun to get into a little bit of a rough old school type style game, you know.
Anything else for Isaac? All right. Thank you, Isaac.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up.
I guess you've heard, this question a lot, asked of your teammate and maybe a coach, but, there was such a huge difference from the first half to the second. How do you guys use that? How did you guys sort of take what you did in the second half and utilize that moving forward?
We kind of use it just as a stepping stone. Like Coach said, it was nice to see our work during the week pay off. So it's something we can trust the process now, almost as cliche as it sounds. So it's just another way to come into this week and work hard and just get better.
And you heard me ask Isaac that, when you hear a coach in that moment, you're down 35-7, and it's a culture that, as Coach put it, has you guys have been kicked around a little bit over the last couple of years. And to hear him say, I need you guys to believe in yourselves as much as I believe in you, how much does that fuel you, and what does that mean to you, even maybe on a personal level?
It really gets you going, and I'll even just take it a step further. We have to believe in each other. I feel like once a team can believe in each other, that's when you start to not second-guess things. That's when you can just play fast. And whenever we're playing fast, and you can see in that second half, it looks really good.
Coach said that guys are just, obviously the 1-0 thing is all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
You guys aren't thinking about a conference championship. Are people talking about that on the team?
No, he's not lying at all. We're really talking about just 1-0. That's honestly the whole second half. I think I could have said just take it one play at a time, maybe 100 times the whole second half, because that's what leads to conference championships. That's what leads to all those types of good things, bowl games. So as long as we can go 1-0, that it'll go there.
I asked Alex if it's hard to do this. Do you feel it's obviously too early to tell, but it's one of those seminal moments from Saturday that you may look back on and go, this was our turning point?
I wouldn't say the game. I would more say this week of practice. You know, it shows that if you have a good week of practice, it can translate to the game. You know, so that's what my biggest point would be from that.
This is a little bit of an off-the-wall question, but what's it like to play against your dad?
Oh, you bringing me back a little bit. That was crazy. That was fun. Honestly, you can ask anyone from back at home. It was more stressful on my mom than on us. Because for us, it was just, you know, it's going to be another game. I see him on the sideline. We might talk a little bit. But for her, she was the one that had to go to the games. Everybody's asking her which side she's going to sit on. Everybody's asking her which jersey she's going to wear. She actually got a custom jersey. So it had one side was my school and then the other side was my dad's school. So that was always a fun week. And even at school, kids would come up to me and be like, JoJo, I heard your dad got kicked out the house this week. You know, where's he living at? I'm like, and it's not even like that. But yeah, that was definitely really fun.
Why did you go to a different school? I think it was a Catholic school you went to, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a private school. It really didn't have anything to do with private, public school. It was really just growing up, all my friends went to private school. So I played private school basketball, private school football. So it was really just where all my friends were going. It had nothing to do with private or public. I just wanted to just play with my friends. You know, it was always a dream for us to win a state championship all together, either in football or basketball. So that was the main deciding factor.
Did your dad try to recruit you?
No, and honestly, my dad went to the school I went to, so they were open about wherever I wanted to go. They were behind me 100%. So they really didn't have any effect on my decision.
How many times did you play against him?
I played against him 5 times, so I beat him the first 3 times, and then he got me my senior year in the regular season, but then we actually played each other in a district championship my senior year, which was really fun, and we ended up beating him in my senior year in the championship. So I got the last W. I always tell him that.
Why did you come to Old Dominion? What were your other choices?
I had a couple other MAC schools. I had a lot of FCS schools, but whenever I came down, I always tell people that Old Dominion kind of chose me. You know, whenever I was here, I just fell in love with the place. And I always told myself I wanted to go somewhere a little bit further down south. I just like the weather. So that was another deciding factor. But once I got down here, saw the area, saw what this program could be, I knew this was the spot for me.
And you stayed with his coaching staff, too?
Yes, yeah. I feel like I'd have done this program a disservice if I would have left, you know. Everything we come through from my freshman year to my senior year now, I couldn't leave. And especially being with Ike, being with Jordan, the guys like that, like I just felt like it was up to us to turn this program around.
How important is that to you? The fact that, you know, and it looked like it showed in the second half. How meaningful is that to you?
You know, I just want to be I guess the groundwork of what this program can be. You know, this area is so nice to just bring people down here, and I know we are going to get great guys in this program, and all this coaching staff, our weight training staff, we're going to get right. So it means a lot to me to be the building steps of this program for sure.
I think this. I don't think anyone else has asked this, but you are 0-0 heading into the conference season.
Yeah, and it's exciting to know that we can still make this season something special. You know, being 0-0 going into conference, it's all my take, and it is just go 1-0, like Coach says. If we can go 1-0 tomorrow in practice, this whole week, and then translate into the game, hopefully that'll turn into weeks of going 1-0 and getting into that conference championship for sure.
Why did the defense play so well in the second half? I mean, that was maybe one of the best defensive halves I've ever seen OU play.
You know, we eliminated the pre-snap penalties and post-snap penalties. A lot of the yards that we were giving up were penalty yards, and that's what was killing us. I don't know. I didn't see the stats in the second half for penalties, but I don't think we had many, if there was any. So that was the biggest difference, I feel like.
Anything else for JoJo? All right, thank you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.